All right. Netanyahu, the Bible says those who bless Israel will be blessed and those who curse Israel will be cursed. You may have seen that Trump and Netanyahu yesterday had a bit of a meeting where Trump essentially said that there was going to be some sort of a peace deal proposed to the Palestinians, and if they don't do that, then Netanyahu has free range to do whatever he wants, essentially. This comes after just a few days ago, Trump came out and said that he will not allow Netanyahu to continue with the West Bank settlements, something that we've heard quite a lot. And then next, we're going to go on to this clip of Israel wanting to buy TikTok
I think we
and
better
censor.
I think we better break this down between Bibi and Trump. I want to get your take on this, Jake.
Oh, this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price. But those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples.
So redacted.
President Trump just said it. It's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And
so who's he talking to right there?
He's talking to the people of the United States, I guess. He's saying, well, I mean, he's talking to Christians, essentially, especially the dispensationalist Christians who believe in the idea that that Israel, the nation state of Israel, is the same as the Israel of the Bible, as opposed to Israel being essentially, well, Israel being Christians.
I agree.
We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. Since October.
Now, I was talking the other night, there was some Israelis in the Discord server, and we were having a discussion about this. And I asked them, don't you guys think that basically Israel has completely and totally lost the information war here? They've completely optically lost in every single capacity the propaganda war. And they like collectively, they were like, yeah, we've completely and totally lost. And so the thing is Bibi there, he's not even really trying to talk to people outside of the Kufi collective, the old boomers who believe in the bless Israel. And if you bless Israel, then you're going to be taken care of. God's going to love you as long as you let us do whatever we want. He's not even really trying anymore. They're not even attempting to make their propaganda move past that particular establishment, which is still a very powerful one. But it seems like that's where their focus is on trying to do this rebrand. And this peace accord is part of likely of this rebrand effort. This peace accord likely will get rejected. And it'll get rejected by the Palestinians because it won't be a two-state solution. It's going to be something other than a two-state solution. So, and it'll be heavily in favor of Israel for sure. And they'll likely reject it. And then they'll say, wait, see, we sued for peace. They won't move for peace. And then that'll be the precursor for what they do next with the blessing of the United States and Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Trump did come out the other day and said that he won't be allowing Bibi to expand the West Bank settlements. But this has been the policy of the United States, like, for a very long time, for decades and decades, that they're not meant to sign off on the expansion of the West Bank settlements, but they're just going to keep doing it as they have been this whole entire time, no matter what Trump or any other president says, as far as I can tell.
Well, I'm not really sure that that the political will really exists there with Trump. He appears like he wants to give some pushback on a lot of the things that Israel's doing. He can clearly see the change in the winds of his base. A lot of his base, the old MAGA supporters, really were very, very pro-Trump. He did not recognize how anti-Israel these people really were until recently. The last year of the propaganda war has been a stunning failure for Israel. Stunning failure in everywhere. Iran at when the bombings were happening, ran better propaganda that was more compelling than what Israel is doing over the last year. Who's
Yeah.
their message for? Who's it for?
Well, I mean, if you look at the propaganda that the Israelis are running, they need to get a new PR guy. They need to get new people in to help them run their propaganda campaigns, because what they're doing at the moment is just not it. I mean, we'll skip this for a second and we'll just have a look at, like, conservatives. We're not in 2017, 18 anymore, when we're trying to have like the good gays on our side and all this sort of thing. Conservatives these days just completely and utterly reject what we're seeing here, but this is what they think is going to work.
Imagine supporting people who start wars just to lose the wars so they can cry about it and then try it all again.
You musty anti-Semites are literally obsessed with Jews. Now walk with me. While you musty anti-Semites are stacking eviction notices, Jews are out here stacking up businesses.
First of all, why do they both have headphones on if they're walking with each other? Why do they both have huge-ass headphones on? I don't know.
Jews
Again,
control.
who's this message
They're fucking
for?
gay.
Who's the message for?
Musty anti-Semites.
Yeah, but I mean, who does this appeal to? When you're running a propaganda campaign, you're trying to appeal to people through some sort of sensibility that those people have in order to make whatever your cause is look better. That's the whole point, right? The entire point is that I'm pushing this thing. I need your support. And so I'm going to appeal to something that you care about in order to get that support. Famous rhetoric, right? The axis of evil. What is that saying, right? Us versus them. We're in this together against these evil, nefarious, behind the curtain people. Or look at other great forms of propaganda which really push in the idea. Like Uncle Sam Wants You is a really good one. You were just pointing that one out. But there's many other examples that we can give. But even smoking, right? The idea of how do we get kids to smoke? Well, let's put cartoon characters on the packs of cigarettes, right? And that'll draw more kids in. You're trying to appeal to their sensibilities, in other words. Who the is this appealing to? Where's the appeal? Who are you appealing to?
Man, this the thing though. The only way that I can see this being a mass marketing campaign is if you're actually trying to play the heel, if you're trying to play the villain, and just get attention through hate. Like Pearl actually said something really clever to this Xavier guy on Twitter the other day. He was trying to say, "Oh, Emily Saves America is actually so great, whatever," and I'm sick of everyone making fun of her. And then Pearl said, "Stop trying to convince everybody that you guys are good people. Just play the villain." And I thought, that's where you are right now. So that's probably actually pretty good advice. And that's what I thought that they were kind of doing here. But now when you say it from this perspective of like, who are they trying to convince? What is the propaganda they're trying to push? It's like most people just completely reject this sort of astroturfed influencers who like, yeah, you might be getting paid, good for you, but who the is paying you, and like how much does it cost you personally?
The Israeli propaganda, one of the primary reasons I think history will show that the propaganda campaign failed, especially this go around with what happened with Gaza, isn't because of the humanitarian crisis. I think that those go on all over the place, and for the most part, people don't care if the propaganda PR on the other side is good. What happened was a complete and total miscalculation of the right and the pendulum swing on the right for true American firstism, which is the idea that regardless of if you're a long-term ally or not, we're putting our nation first, and you and your quagmire and wars are meaningless to us. Off, we want our In-N-Out burgers, our giant fries, and you can go f yourself. And if we have to do that at your expense, America first, right? The thing here.
Sorry,
is,
Andrew.
though,
Just one. I think we've got a slight echo.
Yeah, it's from you.
Hear. No, I think it might be Mr. E's thing.
Oh well, Mr. E, turn yourself down. So the thing here that's interesting though is they would actually have been way better off appealing to the left. What they instead of trying to appeal to the right, and this is what I think this switch is all about, right? The coming switch. What they should have been doing is saying the Palestinian Muslims aren't just trying to blow you up, but they hate women, right? They're trying to oppress women. They throw the gays off the roof, right? They burn the gays, they burn the witches, this and that. And we are the bastion of liberalism in the Middle East for your liberal progressive sensibilities, and try to appeal to the left. That actually would have been a far better PR campaign than what you saw when they were trying to appeal to the right by just saying, hey, all the Arabs are domestic terrorists who are trying to blow you up and destroy your American way of life. That message just doesn't ring true anymore. And so they actually probably would have been better off going that route. But they didn't. They didn't do it. And I think they're trying to make this pivot now. And that's part of what's going on with the TikTok purchase, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few people like Brennan Tatum has come out really strongly, but I don't know if you saw his debate with Dave Smith. He just got killed in that debate with Dave Smith. And it's like, geez, he was throwing a few talking points at him, but it really doesn't look good. And when he's coming out and saying, well, God was a Jew, Jesus was a Jew and God was a Jew, and it's like, well, Mr. Tatum, if Jesus came back tomorrow, do you think that he would be going into a synagogue or into a church? Like, he'd be going into a church, as far as I can tell. But I don't know. It's just like the messaging and the old talking points just don't seem as effective anymore. People have like looked into it a bit more now, I guess.
Well, a lot of it has to do with the raising up of the Catholic and Orthodox churches and their interjection of the idea that dispensationalism is a heresy and that what the old church actually believed had nothing at all to do with the modern nation state of Israel. That being injected into the zeitgeist as Protestantism begins to decrease in the United States has not helped the Israeli message at all. And they hate Catholics and loathe the Orthodox because of this.
Yeah. Well, let's watch the rest of this sort of California conservative elitist garbage.
A lot of the industries. Maybe if you spent more time taking notes from successful people, you wouldn't have to spend your nights and weekends spreading hate from your anonymous account with an anime profile picture.
Do you work as hard as Jews? Do you network like Jews? No, because you're too busy cheering on a group of musty terrorists who smell like dirty earring backs. And if we're gonna keep it real, you're really mad because your income is giving side hustle.
Period.
How you gonna hate from outside Shabbat? You can't even get in.
These people are ridiculous.
But well, I mean, but is it satire? The question is like, are they kind of clowning on the elitist nature of right wingers who are aligning themselves with Israeli interests because,
no,
or are they? Yeah, well, I don't know either way. The thing is that it's so hard to tell because
no, if you watch enough of these guys, this is not satire. These guys,
satire.
They totally believe this stuff. Yeah,
that just no self-awareness.
Yeah, no self-awareness, and they're the same people who are saying about that girl's wedding ring was too small and all these sorts of things.
Yeah.
This is the same sort of mentality where it's like, oh, I'm MIA in the Hamptons. It's like, but to be fair though, like not even to be fair, but just when you look at it realistically.
Yeah, be unfair.
If you ever rub shoulders with the sort of upper echelons of the MAGA crowd, you'll notice that the energy is very different, and the way that they view the world is very different, as opposed to sort of the sort of broader grassroots spectrum of the America First crowd. Like whenever I've been to any events where there's like PragerU people or these kinds of people, like they do sort of think like this, and it is a very elitist sort of crowd, and they are very sort of pro-Israel. And they mention it in all the speeches and everything. But then when you get out to like the rallies, for example, it's a completely different atmosphere, different vibe. There's not this sort of elitist mentality, but it's just like anything though. When you get up to the top higher echelons, like which is where these guys would hang out with the PragerU crowds and the donors and these people, then that's the way that they would see the world. So it doesn't surprise me that they've completely misread the right wing, because that's what they see when they go into their cocktail parties.
Well, Republicans used to be elitist. I mean, they were kind of the party for the upper class, and that's what they were branded as, the party of the upper class. That's not the case anymore. Democrats moved over to the donor class in a big way, and they're kind of bought up by MSM actually is just kind of bought up by DNC interests, and they have a few billionaire donors that kind of keep everything running on that side, and then multimillionaire donors. The thing is, though, is that there is no more representation for a middle or underclass on either side. That doesn't exist. And the thing is I wish that some of these grassroots organizations were actually grassroots, but every time I've looked into one, I find out that they're always co-opted by NGOs, and even if they started grassroots, or they sell out to NGOs, even if they started grassroots. You know, an example of this, and God rest his soul, Charlie Kirk, TPUSA is definitely co-opted by every type of right-wing NGO you can think of.
Well, that's what Charlie Kirk's great skill was, is that he was somebody who was great at getting funding and great at building a movement where he could sort of get all this different funding, and he built something massive. But there's just no doubt about that. And you look at like this Xavier guy here, he was a product of PragerU, right? And it's like, what exactly is PragerU, and how is this guy out in the Hamptons? And obviously he's bragging about how much money he makes and that everyone else's income is giving side hustle. It's like, what exactly do you do though? Like, how do you make your money? If you are, so making so much money and calling everybody else so broke. Because I looked at his YouTube channel, he doesn't get many views. He's not very popular. It's the same with other guys like CJ Pearson, for example. He's a smart guy and everything, but if you go on his Instagram, he's got all of these massive parties happening with all these influencers and rappers coming in these beautiful venues, and he's running for governor of X, Y, and Z. It's like, you're not funding that. Somebody's funding that. So I just don't know where it comes from. It's obviously, like you're saying, though, it's not coming. It's coming from it's not a grassroots organization.
This is no more difficult to identify than. Do you remember recently on X? Maybe this was half a year ago, I think, when all the propaganda was like, oh, what happens if we stop people from getting soft drinks with their welfare checks? And a bunch of Republican accounts almost verbatim said the exact same thing, which is, they should have the freedom to get soft drinks if they want to get soft drink. And it was almost the same exact script between 6 or 7 different accounts, because it was a funded campaign utilizing influencers as frontmen. And there's not that many influencers who aren't paid behind the scenes. I'm one who isn't. You're one who isn't. There's a few others I can name who aren't, but most of them really are paid behind the scenes. Look at Harry.
Especially the leftists.
Yeah. Look at Harry Sisson, the Brat Pack there with Dean and Parker and all these guys. They all are on various DNC payrolls and are funded by DNC operatives. And on the right, Officer Tatum, same thing. TPUSA and many of the people there, same thing. They're completely funded by NGOs and special interest money. And so you really can't trust much of what they say at all, because if they're told to move into lockstep, they will move into lockstep with whatever the message is. And that's what's always been kind of terrifying. And that's one of the references that's made when we're talking about the deep state and how that evolved so quickly.
Yeah, I was one of the subscribers was listening to Gavin McInnes, and Gavin McInnes was reviewing our thing that we did where we were ranking the different influencers, or like the right-wing commentators. And he was reviewing it, and he was saying, this is Jake Rattlesnake. I don't know if he's ever taken any money from everyone. I had to message Gavin and be like, I've never taken any money from anyone, but it's kind of just expected now.
I wouldn't work with you if you had.
Yeah,
literally just wouldn't work with you. The thing is this is why we turn down so many offers, because you don't know where that money's coming. I mean, Tim Pool almost got himself in some hot water there, even though he didn't do anything wrong, just by having the wrong advertisers come in who, then are linked to this person and this person. And it's like, there's no reason to get involved with these people. And a lot of it does end up coming down to greed. Not saying in Tim Pool's case it was greed. I'm just saying that a lot of it ends up coming down to greed for these various influencers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why we have the grift out in the open, hey?
That's right. Andrew doesn't read chat on this show. Well, I just proved you wrong, you idiot. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. This one is the one that everyone's been talking about.
Christian influencers. Okay. You said, we talked about the woke right, and you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're lunatic. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well, okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is
TikTok.
TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. Exactly. Very good. And, you know, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him.
All right, so that gives the gist of what he's talking about there, and he's definitely not wrong.
No, he's a 100%. The outlining of this strategy is just finally airing out in the open what America has woken up to, which is that the Israeli lobby and Israeli special interest groups, all the way up to the upper echelon of the Israeli government, including Benjamin Netanyahu himself, have been taking a huge interest in the social media of their protectorate, the United States, in order to influence various people through social media. And what did he just say? Our influencers. Who are their influencers? Well, this would be a cut between various people who are getting money from Israeli NGOs, from Kufi operatives, and from many other pro-Israeli organizations. And they'll often give it through legitimate channels, legitimate business channels. And it's sometimes very hard to track that that's actually an Israeli company, or there's so much smokescreen created that people don't know. But it's very clear that they want full spectrum dominance when it comes to TikTok, because on TikTok, where the leftists reign, one of the things that they're reigning at is dismantling the idea that what's going on in Gaza is not a genocide. And that's what the big focus is. And who does that influence? It influences the younger generation. And they're looking at long-term geopolitical security. So they know that they better get a hold of that battle. The second here I take as a threat, which is X. We have to get X under control. And here's the thing. We have to go talk to Elon. Remember, Elon's a friend, in quotes, right? Almost in quotes, right? If X continues to allow anti-Israeli propaganda from everybody, and this would include everything from neo-Nazis over to just moderate progressives who want to stop what they consider to be a genocide in Gaza, and right-wingers who just don't want to be entangled in the foreign affairs of this other nation and everything in between, they have a serious problem, because that is the area where they've lost the war the worst, is on X.
Yeah. Man, if you were just on X, I feel like YouTube has a fair bit more nuance. I don't know if you've noticed this, but whenever I read through my comments on YouTube, people will maybe be a little bit more critical, and they'll give sort of longer responses in the comments. And I always enjoy that, even if it's critical of me, because they're giving a more thoughtful criticism. But on X, it's just like, it almost just brings out the worst in people in a way, where people are just so they're like attack dogs, and they just want to say the most brutal thing in the shortest possible form. And man, it really does not go well for the Israelis on there. Basically anything that is pro-Zionist on X just gets absolutely ratioed every time.
Yeah, and if people were more intellectually honest, and some are, and some aren't, a lot of people always respond to analysis with, but I disagree with what they're doing, therefore what you're saying is incorrect. No, it's not incorrect. It doesn't matter if you disagree with what they're doing or agree with what they're doing. The truth is that almost all foreign nations have a huge stake in America's social media markets, Israel most of all. And so they're going to be pumping tons and tons of money towards various influencers. And they had their hands very clearly in TPUSA, which was the largest ground game operation for influencing the youth vote in perhaps the world. And so, and that's the case, that now they have a vested interest and see an opportunity there to expand their reach even more. So, this propaganda battle is far from done, but Israel has still been very much losing it, and I'm not sure that even an acquisition of TikTok would change that. Though I think you would get a lot more of the kind of pro-Zionist mantra and a lot less of the anti-Zionist mantra because they would just ban it off of there. But X is the domain that I don't know how they get control of that unless they take it away from Elon somehow. I don't know how they get control of the narrative there.
I've only really started to use X over the last year or so. Like before that, I didn't even really know how to use it. And eventually I had to teach myself how to use it because I was like, all right, I guess I'm in the politics game now. But before then, apparently it was way more liberal and you couldn't say anything on X or you'll get yourself banned.
Nothing. You couldn't say shit, dude.
It would go back to that because I never used it during those times. I only used it after Elon.
It was one of the most Twitter was ridiculously censored. You couldn't even say words like trans, or it would not have the inclusive language.
One of the most censored places on the internet.
Yeah, and at first, people were kind of like overwhelmingly going, "Yes, this is great," and then the pushback came from the left when they realized, "Wait a second, we can't just mass flag these guys' accounts and they can just call us stupid trannies, and there's nothing we can do about it. They can laugh and mock us, and we just have to take it." It's been a huge blow to the left, huge blow, and going back from that is going to be very tough because, as it turns out, people really like to express how angry with you they are and how much displeasure you bring them. They really enjoy saying, "Why don't you shut up, you stupid?" They really like saying that. And moving the younger generation away from that is actually going to be more difficult now that they've had a taste of it. One of the reasons it works so well with millennials is because a lot of the younger millennials didn't really get a taste of what it used to be like to have the old AOL chat rooms and things like this, where people could say whatever they wanted to, right? They could just say whatever they want, or early gaming rooms where people could say whatever they wanted. They never got a taste of that, so they never really realized how censored it was. And that was a big weapon which was used against millennials. That's not the case now. Now the Zoomers got a taste of what it's like to have a little bit of online freedom. It's going to be really rough to take that away from them.